Is it is it time?
Rar.
Oh my god, it's time.
Hey YouTube, this is Atlas with some Photoshop work. This is a pretty basic overview of what you might need if you want to make some overlays or some thumbnails for YouTube. If you enjoy this video, if you found it useful, please let me know in the comments below and subscribe. I appreciate it and take care. So yeah, let's get started. I'll show you what I use, and then we'll start from scratch and work from there. I just opened a shit ton, so it's all thumbnail template. So I have a thumbnail template. It's like kind of a master template. You can see here it has the background in case I don't have a background for the game, but I usually use a background. And here you can see the Undertale and then the Damned, and I'm not going to explain like the super duper basics, like hey, this is a folder, these are layers. I'm going to assume that you have at least that much knowledge. So I keep each game in its own folder. As you can see, each element is a piece. This is super duper simple. Like literally, it's like 4 layers and then some layer effects. So if I turn the effects off, you can see, this is the outer glow because the Undertale logo is only black. So now it makes it a little, it stands out. This one is the glow, just makes it pop a little more. Same with this. It also pulls it out from the background. Super duper simple. So let's pretend that we don't have this. So I'm going to start a new one. And the way I like to use 1280 by 720, because this is actually the recommended size for YouTube, and it's kind of big for thumbnails in general. So name a thumb example. YouTube thumb example. YouTube thumb example. And so I'm actually going to make one that I need right now. I'm going to make my Overwatch one, because I have some Overwatch stuff, and I'm going to start posting it, and so I need a thumbnail for it. So right off the bat, oftentimes I use Adobe Photoshop CC, Creative Cloud. It's a subscription-based. All these techniques will be transferable to any modern Photoshop. It's all pretty much since Photoshop 7. The damn things it's pretty much the same. Anyway. So yeah, right off the bat, oftentimes this layer is locked, and you don't really want a white background, and you can't change it, so you just double click on it and click OK, and then it unlocks. That's fine. That's just like a habit. But if I don't say it, then no one will know. So now, let's go ahead and bring over a tab, and let's say we want to go Overwatch. So what we want to find is like a good screenshot or some good like concept art or whatnot. And Overwatch is easy because it's a Blizzard game and they love to release their concept art. And holy shit, 13,000 by 6,800. That's huge. So yeah, the better or the bigger the image, the better. I mean, that's kind of overkill, so we won't really worry about that one. But it doesn't. Yeah, that's only 603. Let's see if I could find this one bigger. That one's bigger. So let's do. I think that's. Yeah. So we'll do this one. And if you do find someone's like personal art and whatnot, you probably want to ask permission. But since this is like part of the Overwatch press kit, you're not going to run into anyone who's upset with you using it. So I have a folder just called raw logos. So I just put like folders that came directly from the internet go there. And then I also want to get the Overwatch logo. So let's go Overwatch logo. So now it should just bring up just the logo. And oftentimes, hey Jables1, welcome. And oftentimes you can find it already transparent. So often, like you can say, oh hey, transparent. You can type transparent. This one you want to have large as well. It's not required or anything, but it's nice to work with larger images. Like you can shrink down an image much easier than you can enlarge it. So now we got the basics. We got the cool screenshot. We have the cool logo. I like this one. I mean, I could pick any one of these, honestly, but the one I picked is the one that appealed to me the most. So now we have our folder over here. Let me go get it somewhere you can see it. So here's the folder. We're just going to go down. So we're going to need both of these in here. So we can actually do both these at once. We want to drag them. Let me see if you can see this. Not here, but drag them into the top bar, and they'll open in a different window. So now, basically, to get them into the document you're working with, you just select all, Control A, and then Control C, and then you go back to the original one, and we can close this one since we're done using it. And then, see, this is the blank one again, and then just paste it. And when you get 2 layers in here, you can delete this one, since we don't really care about that one. So now it's in here, but you can see it's only a portion of the image. So what we're going to do is press Control T, and now you can see that this is actually how big the image is. So we're going to resize it a little bit. And I'm lazy, so I don't really want to deal with having blank space down there. So I'm actually going to only resize it there. And then I'm going to move it. And I'm all doing this just by clicking the different squares or clicking in the middle. You hold Shift to do angles, like 45-degree angles. So if I move it this way, if I move it that way, it holds it at a perfect spot. So yeah, I'm going to hold Shift, and so I know it's covering the whole thing. Actually, I'm going to pull out a little bit more. And so now I want to just frame it where I like it. So I kind of like this. I kind of like this up here since it doesn't really have, it's got kind of like an area I can put stuff and not really cover up anything except for this little hero. You got this cool dynamic over here, and then you still have Reinhardt on the bottom. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'd say right there. So when you're done with the Control T, the transform is what it's called. You just press Enter. And so now here's the background. So that's pretty much it for the background. I mean, later on I might maybe knock the opacity down or do something to make it, you know, a little easier to see the text if it becomes a problem. But for now, it's not the big of a deal. So we got the background in here. We can close this tab. Now we need to get the logo. And since it's already transparent, which you can tell by these little checker boxes behind it, we won't need to cut it out or anything, which is not hard, but you know, if it comes pre-cut out, you might as well. So now, let's just leave this here. I want to get all the elements into the image before we really start moving it around. So now I need the Atlas Plays. This is huge, but Atlas Plays. I just get it in here. T is the shortcut for the text tool. You can also click this T over here, and then you can change the font size up here. So since 300 is massive, let's just go with 200 and see how big that is. So Atlas Plays, okay, that's probably good. It's a thumbnail, and you always want to, like when you're working with thumbnails, you kind of want to zoom out a lot because you can see, you know, if you look at it when it's 1280 by 720, you're like, yeah, this looks good. You know, I can read everything. It's fine. But then, you know, this might be what they see on YouTube, and you want to make sure that this is readable. And right now, it's actually a good example because right now you can tell that, you know, Atlas Plays gets washed out by that. By Winston's explosion, and Overwatch just kind of like fades into these weird dark spots. So now we're going to fix that a little bit, but not before we get the composition that we want. So I like more dynamic. I don't like straight edges for the Atlas Plays or any font really. So let's just play Atlas Plays Overwatch. This Overwatch is kind of small. Let me go look and see if I can find a bigger logo. I like this is fine, but it's just there's a lot of empty space around it, and I like this location, but I wouldn't mind if it was bigger. So back here, we can always go size large. I'm sure if you use Google, you've done that before. Transparent will always be white. So like these, even though they come up when I search transparent, it's not actually transparent. So you want to find one with a white background on the interwebs. And looks like we're not finding anything with that. So let's turn this off. I really like that, you know, rendered one. This is just flat. So let's see if we can't find a cool rendered one that's large. Hey, the Glock logo. And a Colt logo. Jesus. and Bacardi. All right, we're getting into the bad ones. There's not going to find this. Overwatch. Let's just type Overwatch and see what comes up. Of course, the not transparent one. Overwatch logo. Transparent. And let's just turn off the large. So we got this one, which is 822 by 400. Is there really no bigger ones than that? I find it hard to believe that there's no bigger ones than that. There we go, 1024 by 762. That's good. So let's do this one. And again, oh, it's a fucking photo bucket. No, god damn it. So sites like this just make it a pain in the ass to get. View image, is it gonna, okay. So sometimes you click view image and it brings it there. So let's save this to the raw logos. Pull that folder up again. Make sure, so this is the 1024 by 768 one. So bring up Photoshop, get that folder back again. Drag it up once again to the top. So we don't want it to be automatically placed. It becomes a hassle. So yeah, Control A, Control C. Let's come on over here again, and we can just turn this one off for now. And Control V this one. Since this one does look good, like I'm pretty happy with it, I'm just gonna delete the old one. So now you can see it fills the screen much more. I like that one. Okay. So now we're gonna work on trying to get this to be a little more like poppy. Like this is fine and all, but you can't read the Atlas plays. The Overwatch is kind of, you know, melds in with this darker area, and it's just not very readable, especially like this. This would not be a good thumbnail. And honestly, I might bump this up. So I'm going to go ahead and bump the font size up a little bit. Just press T again. I'm going to try 250 and see if I can't fit this decently. I think that's probably good because now if you zoom out, it looks better in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and start here. When you double click on a layer, so if you just have this layer here, you can double click on the name and you can rename it, any of these. So let's just name these real quick. Background. This can say Atlas Plays. But when you double click over here in this empty area, it brings up the layer styles. So like I said, this is super basic stuff. Layer styles are like Photoshop 101. And I recommend just messing with these. Just, you know, bevel and emboss. Click it on and off and see what it looks like. You know, oh, stroke. You know, click that on and off, see what it looks like. Inner shadow. This is what Photoshop professionals do. They don't know what they're looking for. They're just looking for something that looks good. So there's outer glow. Oh yeah, outer glow. Oh, drop shadow. Okay, that looks pretty good. Drop shadow looks pretty good. So let's start with outer glow. So oops, let's turn that off. So outer glow is because I kind of use outer glow a lot and I want it to match. Outer glow by default will use screen, which only reacts to darker colors. So basically, if there's a lighter color, it doesn't do anything. Like it literally just, you can't notice it. And most of this is lighter. So we're going to change this to normal. And now since this is the color of the screen, and we just switch it to normal, so since it's white, you didn't really notice anything. But now we're gonna go ahead and switch it to something darker. We can switch it down, you know, to really anything. So I like this green color. As like I said, I like my stuff to match a little bit. So now you can see, you know, if I turn it on and off, you can see, oh, there's a green outline. Immediately this part of the Atlas Plays gets pulled out of the background, which is great. Boom, we can see those. We're going to go ahead and mess with the sliders down here. So the spread and size are the kind of what controls, oh, hey, this is how thick it is. Or this is how much it's spread out between. So basically the size is like, oh, the size, it's actually 7 pixels away from each edge. And then the spread shows you the gradient it plays over those 7 pixels. So if you do 100%, that means it's 100% opaque for those 7 pixels. And you can make it, you know, as many pixels as you want. So let's just go ahead and set it to like, I don't know, 25 pixels, but now we're going to turn the spread way far down. So you see now it basically the gradient is about right here is 20%. So by 20% it's pretty much faded out, or it fades out at a 20% rate. And then always go back and just like, oh, what's this look like? You know, is this good? Is this bad? And I think this still looks pretty good. Like it pulls it out. If you zoom out, it really does stand out from the background. Even at this small size, you can see, boom, Atlas plays. You're no longer losing it anywhere. And I can even push it even more by changing it to like a darker color. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. And okay, so I guess I should explain for frag. When you click on this is just a solid color and this is a gradient. I stick with solid color in this case, and when you click on the box itself, it brings up the color picker. So, and that's pretty much standard for all across Photoshop. This color picker will come up. So yeah, let's stick with that. And we still see that, yeah, even at really tiny sizes, the Atlas Plays sticks around. Okay, so let's call it good for now. Like I said, it's super simple. So basically what we had is we just had a regular text layer. We tilted it a little bit, and then we added an outer glow to it. That's it. We changed the color a little bit and changed the layer style. Now we're going to go with the logo. We're going to double click. Remember, double click out here away from the name. It'll bring up the layer style menu. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to do the same. We're going to go to outer glow right away and just see what we can do. So the problem with this one is that it technically goes out, like it's not like this, the text is finite, you know, it's the text. There's no weird opaque things. This thing is opaque all over the place. Like there's light things coming from over here. There's light things all in the middle, so it doesn't cleanly do the outer glow. As you can see, it gets all blobby. So this one might be a little more complicated to fix, but we can try. Let's just try, you know, give it a shot. Maybe we can figure something out. So let's just set this at 7 pixels and turn the spread down. And see, this is not really working. So this is not going to work. What else do we got here? I don't know if any of the, I guess that's okay. I don't really like it that much. We can mess with it and see like what we could do. So again, I switched it from screen to normal, and I'm going to change this. Just want to see what it does with a darker one. We turn it on and off. You can see it just darkens up everything. I don't know if that really, it doesn't really help much. So let's not do that one. Inner shadow, no. Don't want stroke. So there's bevel and emboss too, but I don't really like that either. So this one might be a little more interesting to mess with. I'm trying to think. What could I do here? So one option that we can explore is to make the background different, to change the background. And we can do that in one fell swoop. Like we can go ahead, and what I like to do is I go down here to this little half circle, or the circle with a half white, half black, and I pull up a solid color layer and set it to black. See, now what this does is it adds a layer that that's just a solid color. It's not actually painted on there, it's just considered black. And then I drag it down, so right by default it'll open up here. I just drag it down below the background so it's not covering it anymore. And now what I can do is I can see what this would look like if I changed it to a different opacity. So if I changed it, oh, maybe, you know, oh, it's now at 50% opaque. But what it did is it actually just let, you know, 50% of the black background come through. It darkened everything up. And that looks okay. I mean, obviously you can tell Overwatch is a little easier to see. But the background, and now the background just kind of looks messy. So I don't really want to do that. Let's bring it back to 100. I like how bright it is. It looks good. So this is a slightly more advanced technique, what we're going to do here. But it's not too hard. What we're going to do is we're going to add a mask, a layer mask, which is this button right here. And when you have the layer selected, it'll just go to that one. So now you see that there's this white layer mask. So a good way to visualize this is that right now, this layer is actually two layers. There's the layer that has the image, and then there's the layer that's kind of like a screen on top of the image. It's kind of like a piece of glass on top of the image. And when it's white, that piece of glass is 100% clean. But if you add any dark to it, like if I added, say, some black to it, so I went to this brush tool right here up on the left, and then I can go down. So right now the top color is the active one, and the back color is the inactive. You can just switch it with this, or you can press X. So I want black. So the layer mask will only accept black and white, or grays. The color won't do anything. But you can see here. So now I want to darken the piece of glass and let this solid color show through. So you can see, oh, that was it. Basically what I'm doing is I'm selectively darkening the background. And you can see that here, like this is the mask. So this is basically saying, oh, this dark part is where the background is going to be a little more opaque or a little more transparent. I don't really like that, so we're not going to do that right now. At least not that much. Honestly, I think what we're going to need to do... Undo, okay. Because we might need to do some fancy shenanigans with this thing. We might need to... Let's see, what do we want to do? I haven't done this stuff for a while. So let's not do this. We're going to do it the easy way. So, like I said, since this looks bad, I'm just going to drag in a fresh logo. Drag this in here. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and do the background darkening. Oops. So you have the background, we're going to add the layer mask here, and we're going to go to our brush. And we don't need it this big. You can change the size up here, right here, or you can use the bracket, left bracket and right bracket. So we're going to make it a little smaller. And we want to make sure it's black because we want to cover up the white. And we're just going to go lightly over just kind of where the Overwatch is showing. Not really too much. You don't need it to go crazy. Just so we can see that it's there. We can also, we can do multiple things. Like we can do well, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. We can add the layer effects too. So this is the fresh one. Let's delete these ones because they're confusing me. Delete. Rename this to logo. Alright, now we're going to add the layer effects to this. So let's move this over here so we can see what it's doing. So I darkened the background a little bit so we can already see the Overwatch a little better. And now we're going to go ahead and just try to do some light changes. Not the green, it was... So Integral looks alright. So let's start with Interglow. We can try to change this to like a different color. So I can actually try to change it to that color I use, or I like to use. So let's just do that, and we can change it to normal. So you can see, what's this look like when you zoom out? Get this out of here. That doesn't really change too much of the readability. Let's see about maybe what we could do. Maybe we're doing this backwards. Maybe we should be adding. We should be making it lighter, like manually making a glow, an outer glow. We could try to do that. So this is easier. Let's try to just add a layer down here. Get the brush tool. We'll get a color. We can sample colors here, so we can just do this. Say, oh, this looks a little green right here. Or you can like manually do it. We want to try that. And we'll just do opacity super low, like 10. That's fine. You can manually add some cool glow to this one. This looks pretty cool. This real big. And now it definitely sticks out better, and it kind of matches, you know, my color style and whatnot. So maybe that would be good. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to add the solid color. So let's just say, oh yeah, and this is probably the better way to do it. Say, okay, let's just start like this. That's a good color. And then we want to take its layer mask and just press Control I to invert it. So now it's completely covered up by the black. And then instead of like actually coloring the color like that, we're just going to color this more light, which would reveal the color below it. So make sure your top layer is white. See, now it's the same effect, but the cool part about this, I'll show you in a second. So let's just kind of do that again. So yeah, we'll watch do a little more here. But the cool part about this is now this solid color, right? You can just bring up the color picker and change it to whatever you want. So it's easy to, like, you know, oh, I don't really like that color. Let's see what else we can come up with. And so now I can try to match it to what this is. Let's just go over here. That doesn't really look. So we're gonna do this. The color picker doesn't like that. I think it do like that, maybe. Looks pretty good. You can change the opacity. Like, oh, I don't know if I like it that strong. Maybe I only like it to be like 70. So that's definitely bringing it out a little bit. We can also go back, and I think I do want to do, I like, this looks pretty cool. You can add a cool stroke, so I don't really want it that crazy. So that's too much. Can try to turn this down a tiny bit. So what I'm trying to do is make this, and I'm seeing that it's getting messed up over there, but if I turn the opacity down, I don't really notice it that much. And I can also go in, and I think I can make, no, I can't. But what I can do is I can just knock out these. So let's go opacity 100, or just, whoops. There's too much there, so I'm gonna make the brush smaller and just knock out these little tendrilies over there. I'm not too particular because, you know, when you save it and make it into a thumbnail, it doesn't really, you can't really notice things like that. This looks all right. You can try. I think what I want to do is change the levels on this because it's kind of like, I don't know, real flat. So what I'm going to do is go down here again, and I'm going to go to levels. And see, now this is basically like the values. This is where all the values are on this layer. Actually, I want to make sure it's just that layer. So when I click here, like when I first bring out the levels, it'll change the levels on everything below it. It's changing the background, it's changing this, you know, outline. It just doesn't look that good. So what we want to do is lock it to this layer right below it. So you just hold Alt and you mouse over these layers, like in between them. And when you see that little icon switch, you click it. And so now basically this layer will only affect this layer immediately below it. And you can see the levels change, so they look a little different now because it's only handling that. And you can see I can move them all over the place, and it only touches that layer right below it. So you can see I could like make it blow out white, but I want it to be, so I'm darkening it a little bit like that. I'm taking I'm basically moving up this dead space to this first little bump here, just a little bit, and I'm gonna take that, move it up a little bit. So now let's see. Now it's kind of more contrasty. Kind of want it more dark. Everything just kind of like when it's off like this, it just kind of looks a little flat. You turn it on and off, you can see how it kind of pops a little bit. I think that's pretty good. We'll just keep that. Okay, so now that we're all set, and I think we're pretty happy with this, we want to export it. So we say, well, first we can actually make all this. So since this is all part of Overwatch, and we want to keep it all, we're just going to go ahead. Actually, let me see if I can just disable this. Does that look all right? Yeah, it looks all right. Do I enable it? I think I'm going to keep it disabled. This is still pretty readable even when it's pretty small. I like having the brighter background. So we're going to go ahead and select all these layers since they're all part of Overwatch. We're going to select them all and we're going to drag them down to this folder icon. And it puts them all in there. And we're just going to call it Overwatch. So now, next time you come in here, like I say, for example, if I wanted to make a thumbnail for like Eldritch, I could just copy this. When you have it selected, you just press Control J, and it duplicates whatever you have selected. And then I would rename it like Eldritch. And now, instead of having to deal with a brand new setup, I have, like the Atlas plays all set up with the effects. I have, I have this placeholder logo. I have the background that I can just basically replace with the other picture. I have the cool black background in case I do opacity stuff. It just gets you a good jumping off point. And I actually forgot one thing. So I have this pre-built. So let's go see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, I can. So we're gonna go back here, and okay. So this is what I wanted. So I basically have this. You probably have it's actually the raw file. It's actually what Jess painted, so it looks really nasty. But I can duplicate the whole thing. Duplicate group. And I can tell it to come over to YouTube thumb example. Boom. And now I just duplicated it over here. And you can see there's where it popped up. I'm going to Control T to change it. I'm just going to put this right here. And because I want the text above it, I'm going to actually drag this down into the folder. And it just, oh, oops. We're going to do that. So Eldritch is on. You turn that off. Actually, I need to delete that. It was just an example. So now, we can see, hey, actually we want to make it bigger because, bring it back. Okay. So let's get rid of Eldritch, bring this down underneath, and then we'll move it around and try to resize it. I don't think we need to resize it, honestly. Be right like that. And move the Overwatch over a little bit. Let's move that Overwatch logo right like there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I gotta move this with it. All right. So yeah, that's basically what you do. So now that we're done, we're just gonna go ahead and go down to export. And you don't need to do anything crazy. Just export as PNG. You might have a save for web that you can use. But either way, make sure it comes out as a PNG. So you do that, and I'm gonna go ahead and I have my own folder, prod logos, and I'm just going to go ahead and do YouTube thumb so I can keep them all in one spot. And now I'm going to go YouTube thumb Overwatch. Just have some sort of naming convention so you know how to find them. So there's that, and then it just got popped out over here, and we can actually see it in all of its PNG glory. And that's pretty much all I do. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial on Photoshop. If you did, let me know in the comments. Also, feel free to subscribe. I do appreciate it. Until next time, this is Atlas, and take care.